Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us online and here live at Campus X. Welcome to the After Hours series event. It's the first of its kind, and we at the Recursive started this to talk about talent, culture, and also the IT career development in Southeast Europe, because we think that this is really the core at the success of the future success of the ecosystem. So before we start, I would like first to thank our partners at BICA Services and SiteGround for joining us on this journey and for making this happen. My name is Zurnica. I am the editor of the Recursive, and I'm also a mother of a very energetic 4-year-old whose favorite thing is to ask for snacks during online meetings. And so I'm very excited about this topic and very excited to introduce you to my partners here at the discussion, fellow mom and dads, who we will share together not only our parenting highs and lows, but also foremost, I think, how can we create this work-life balance that we're all striving for, and maybe how can companies help us achieve that actually, because our panelists here are both parents, but also employers, founders of companies, and so they really combine the whole experience. So without further ado, Kirill Kaikov, he's the co-founder of BICA Services, an HR consulting company that is developing teams for Fortune 500 companies and startups. So Kirill's business background is in human capital, coaching, business, and HR consulting, and he's also making his first steps in fatherhood, right?
Yep. Since 2 months, actually.
Okay, wonderful. Maya Zlatanova is the co-founder and CEO of the clinical trial search platform Find Me Cure. And she's joined in this venture by her husband, right? And they're raising 2 kids together. And from our previous discussions with Maya, she has shared that actually being a mother helps her be a better founder as well in her company.
Thanks for having me here.
Gala Yurdanova is the co-founder and CEO of Musketari BG, which is a credit intermediary platform that helps buyers find the best financing options for their real estate purchases. And she's also a mother to a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. And
we might see them at some point.
Who are here with us. Yeah, here today. And Viktor Fachev is a father and also the HR director of the web hosting company SiteGround. He's an expert in human resources, and SiteGround is a company that offers very generous benefit packages for working parents, and it has actually a work-life balance strategy, which we will be very curious to learn more about.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so before we start really into the discussion, I would like to encourage our audience online to ask your questions. You can do this in the comment section in our Facebook live stream, and at the end of the discussion we will have half an hour to discuss those questions. And then we will finish the evening by sharing a few beers, right?
Right.
Okay, so I think, as all here, I grew up in the 90s, and my dad used to work in a machine factory. My mom was running a business cafe in a bank. So I never really got to experience them as professionals, really. It was really rare for me to see them working. It was a very special thing to go to their workplace and see them actually. So I had no idea whether they were good professionals, how did they behave with their co-workers, and what were they doing really? I have no idea. So these were totally separate identities what they have. And with my son right now, he sees me working every day. So he sees me on my laptop, he sees me during meetings, he sees me when I'm talking to my colleagues, he sees me when I'm writing and editing stories. And this got me thinking that actually the responsibility that we now share, not only as parents but also as employers, is to really shape the attitudes of the future generations towards work, because it's how we behave with our it's how we behave with our coworkers, how we behave as employers or as bosses, as managers, that shapes their views about what is work, how do we like what we do, are we passionate about what we do, are there any boundaries between work and life, right? And so I think here the employers also share these responsibilities of shaping the way our children view work life of their parents. And so maybe first, Kirill, I would like to ask you, what are your observations? Like, what do parents want from companies as family-friendly perks?
First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting us in this collaboration. And I would just want to mention that it's a series of 6, that's the first out of 6 events. Right. So soon we're gonna announce the other topic. I think it's a great idea to have such a practical discussions, especially on human capital domain, where BICA as a company operates as a HR growth facilitator. Before digging into the perks, I can emphasize on things that are part of the big picture. And first of it is, I would like to mention about the demographic situation. And it's interesting topic that whether the employers could impact on this, like implementing different perks, and is there a unified position of IT ecosystem that can incentivize like birth rate and so on. The second one, which is very, very important and we should be extremely proud of, is that Bulgaria is at first place in terms of number of female and women in tech and entrepreneurs. We have 2 of them now today. It's 32 or 33%, I think. And I think it's something that we are proud of, and Bulgaria is, that is a strong selling point for Bulgaria. One of the strongest selling point for Bulgaria, especially for companies that are looking for diversity. And the third one that I heard recently is that the government is discussing 2 more months paid paternity leave. Lucky me, because it's summertime, and I hope gonna enjoy from this governmental perk. And all these things that they mentioned are kind of prerequisites for companies not to think only about the perks implemented in the remuneration package, but to stimulate their cultures and mission for family care things. And if I have to break down more deeper onto this, I think there is 3 essential that I can emphasize. The first of it is the flexibility. I think it's something that nowadays it's not even a benefit, not even a perk, and it should be part of company's culture. For example, in our group of companies, BICA is a part of group of companies. We even rescheduled some dailies in order parents to attend later while they're driving there. We have representative here, one of my partner. So it's a kind of flexibility that we have implemented. Partly working hours on a temporary basis is also that we can apply here. Flex hours, everything related with additional child care days off, sick days off, additional sick days off. It's also a part of flexibility in terms of what I say, a mindset of the company. The second one is, I think, the recognition and the physical, I call it physical safety, and also continuous feedback that companies should stimulate with all families and all young parents and so on. It's continuous feedback is a good touch point when a family with, especially if both working together, enter into the spiral of daily routines. I think feedback from the direct manager should be a good touch point to say to the parent where they are. Are they perform good? Are they on the right track? And whether everything is okay. In terms of psychological safety, I mean, companies should be careful how they putting additional pressure on the families and working parents. Everything which is unnecessary should be avoided, and it's about communication style on a culture and a company mission level. And the third one that I want to point out is all that we say perks. It could be we can talk a lot on this topic, but it could be one-off payment bonus when the child during the birth. It could be like different trainings for paternities. It could be additional days off. It could be everything related with making young fathers and mothers life easier.
Thank you. Victor, we've already mentioned that SiteGround has packages. How do you think companies should support parents all throughout their journey, like from the beginning or even before?
Right. Yeah, so I was really interested in what Kirill shared in terms of the general demographic and what the data says. You know, I haven't looked into that, but what I can say is share some stories, and kind of my observations is what we see, you know, candidates when they come in, and also what they understand is we have a lot of parents in our company. So I asked for a statistic. We have we have a lot of kids. We have we have 352 kids at SiteGround,
Nice.
which is and 10 of them are the third child of some of our parents. So so the first thing, I think when candidates come in, they always ask for flexibility. That is kind of you know, it's already not even a perk, and it's kind of a communal thing that we have to understand that, you know, being a parent is a 24/7 job. So, you know, getting your 8-hour job into that, you know, you need to be flexible, and that, I wouldn't say that even go just for parents. So I won't touch so much about that. There is one part I think that candidates especially don't talk so much about, but it's really important in raising a child, and that's kind of what you touched upon, and that is the community. Because we all know that it takes a village to raise a child, right? So we spend 8 hours a day at our jobs, and of course for our kids that should not be a black box where, you know, I have no idea what my parents are doing there. That's actually a great part of what our child upbringing really consists, because, you know, we all know that we all love our jobs. That's usually one of the first things that we talk at the table after understanding how our kids' day has been. So what I think one of the greatest perks at SiteGround is exactly that community. And I'm going to give 2 stories. So we, since last year, we're supporting the Arte Festival. I don't know if you heard of that. It's in August. There's a lot of great performers, and we brought our kids there, and my kids now, whenever we go to a concert, they're like, is there going to be a side ground tent there? And usually it happens that there are actually some side grounders with their kids, and they get to play along. We also do this, you know, Bulgaria is great for raising a child, but there are also these days like the 1st of November, the Enlightenment Day. It's a fabulous thing, right? I mean, you have a day about enlightenment, and you get to talk to your kids about it at the same time. It's a vacation day, and it's a working day. So it ends up a race of which grandma do we throw the kids at. So, right? Yeah, it's so, and me as the second child, of course, I always do this. So what we started doing at SiteGround is that we actually say, you know what, bring your kids, and we're going to do a great program. They're going to be together. They're going to see where we work. You know, they're going to touch, they're even going to sit at our desk, and they have a great party, and then they see each other at the park, and they know who that person is. And the third thing is the support network. We have you know, kids don't come with a user manual somehow. For any planning parents, planning to be parents to know that, but it's a lot of fun, so don't give up on it. We have a special group where we share best practice and we learn from each other. We even exchange clothes because we have a lot of we have a desk at the front with SiteGround swag, and we have also for kids such. So of course they outgrow it, and then somebody else gets to get it along. We also offer psychological help for our employees, and you know, a lot of employees have come to me to share their stories, how great that has been. And they actually, several of them, I know that they have discussed parenting challenges with the specialists, and that has been great. So that's what I would say are the two things. The second one, you don't recognize it. It's not something that you speak about, but it's really, really important. And I think it's crucial for employers to understand that we are that part of the village in the upbringing of the child.
I love that.
Wine to what you just mentioned, I'm sold.
Okay, comment. We are we have wine. We are more on beer, to be honest.
I wonder. I'm curious. How does all this work in a startup environment? Because you're a smaller team. Obviously, we cannot afford as employers that much, even carrying packages or anything. How do you manage with the working parents in your teams, Maya?
So I was actually listening to both Kira and Victor, and I was thinking that in a startup it's so much easier. So much easier because, I mean, when you have a lot of people, you have to bring standards.
Yeah.
And that means that you have to standardize the packages to all parents, like across all parents, across like all people. But let's not forget that the team is not just parents, it's like all types of people. And so how do you make it fair if you have like, let's say, packages for parents? How do you make it fair for the other people, for example? And when you're a small team, like we are, for example, it's easy to know every single team member, to know what they need, how they need it, because yes, parents definitely need therapy. I actually used some when I found that I'm pregnant for the second time. But you need therapy for other things as well. So I think that in general, in a startup, it's easier if you recognize that people are different, and like going through, like becoming a parent is a big event for this person on the other side. Maybe it's easier for me because I'm a mom, and actually I started the company together with my co-founders when I actually realized, so we started the company, and 3 months later, I realized that I'm pregnant. So I can say that I'm actually taking care of 3 kids at the same time, right? So that's why maybe to me, from day one, it was obvious that we need to make sure that everyone feels well, and especially when going through motherhood or like becoming a dad or a mom. And yes, one thing I wanted to just mention here is it's important to have the packages. It's important to have like these, like let's say, ways to make sure that people can feel comfortable, that they can continue their career, their growth, their professional path. But it's also important to make sure that you lead by example. If you're not like doing that, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not spending time with your kids, if you're not like trying to find this work-life balance, even if you're providing these great assets, people will say, well, she's working yes, she's working 24 hours. Maybe she's expecting me to do the same.
Yeah.
No, And this is something that people should communicate a lot, but even if you communicate it, verbalize it, unless you have the example there, it's actually impossible.
It's like how we are with our kids and how they copy us.
Exactly.
Gaia, how did you find the right mindset for yourself to find this balance between what you do as a founder and how you are with your kids and taking care of yourself also? Let's not forget that.
Well, I think I started with the idea that I'm gonna fail it, so it's fine. I don't have any expectations, and I'm still disappointed. Well, what you guys said really resonated quite well with me, because I do believe that flexibility is a big thing when you're a parent, and even more than that, community is something that we should leverage in a company, because let's face it, we are ambitious people, and it's very easy to make the comparison. I was seeing an old Bulgarian movie the other day, and it's really funny to see what was the norm back then in the 80s, or because I was raised in the 80s, so it's really old way of handling kids. And what I think is the biggest difference is that with my kids, I don't just want them to be well-fed and healthy. I want them to actually be great people. So I want to nurture them and grow them and do stuff, and I want to be an amazing mom. I don't want to sacrifice on the parenting path because I have taken the business path. And to do that, I actually need a lot of help. And this help might come from a network, from relatives, from friends, and it does come from there, from my partner, of course. Not to forget him, because he is the main reason for me to have these kids, but also from my colleagues and teammates, because these are the people that can help me get to a place where I'm not going to get alone. So how I see parenting as three main issues. It's how to take care of their health, how to take care of their fun, and how to take care of their education status, let's say. So I want to be a super mom in all of them. And it takes lots of time and research to know what to do when, and I think the company can actually play a big role in that. So as you've mentioned, I think it comes with the people and with the mindset there.
I think you've mentioned a really good point there about the child upbringing, being a woman's role in the past, and I'm curious, how is it different today, and how do you see this incorporated in your corporate life? Maybe Victor.
Yeah, it's when you're asking a dad about that, of course, there's nowadays this thing that even some dads feel that they carry the child during pregnancy, and all that. I personally haven't.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I ask them, not me. I've never, even though sometimes I look like I carried one.
Weight?
Yeah,
okay.
But yeah, I think it's. But at the same time, I think it's like I remember when I was having my first child. I was in the US, and I went to a course at Stanford Hospital, and they gave a guide, and it basically, like, the beginning was, there's two kinds of dads. There's the inclusive dads, and there's ones that are like really, really absent. If you're reading this book, you're the first kind. So yeah, I mean, it's totally distributed, and I see it in our company as well, in the corporate world. There's two parents. Ideally, there's two parents, and it doesn't matter if it's the mom and the child. Of course, physiologically, you cannot separate all functions, but especially when what Kirill said, that we have 33% of the leaders in tech being women in Bulgaria. Of course, that means that probably there's, the other part of the family is also playing a role in the household, and that's how it wants to be. And me personally, as a dad, I have all the. In June is crazy. I don't know about your kids, but I'm really psyched. There's 2 concerts every week, and a game and a tournament and all that. I'm there. I mean, I'm not missing on any of them, because it's important for the child, and it's really important for me as well.
To be present.
Kirill, do you think more dads are taking baby leaves right now?
More dad?
More dads are taking baby leaves in Bulgaria.
Did you take yours?
Yeah, I did. I think there was an article, brave parents are those who take their paternity leave. So I think it's mandatory to support the momentum with your house and to lead by example, as you mentioned, because you as a co-founder and also as a manager, what you're doing reflect on what you're doing with your family and how you take care of your children, reflect on your company. Absolutely. And the people that you are leading. So answering to this, yeah.
How do you combine co-founding a company with being a fresh parent? Ooh. How do you do simultaneously? Give us some tips and tricks, or maybe share your struggles.
When I was traveling to, when I was driving to the campus, my wife called me and it was like, oh, where are you? And I forgot to tell her that I'm attending the panel. And she was like, where are you going? I'm attending a panel. We'll discuss, you can watch me live. And she was like, what's the topic? And I was like, parenting. And she was like, you're a father since 2 months, you're already attending this type of And I was like, yeah, but the most important thing is that these 2 months, it's a fragile period, but colleagues, you know what I'm talking about.
Crash course.
That was the most significant upskilling program I have ever attended. And it was like, I was attending all the PMP courses, Agile plus Scrum, and everything related with project management. So what I can say as a new baby father, it's I learned slightly how to delegate more, how to save my energy, and how to be more efficient in terms of time management. Now there is a lot of tools that you can apply on your daily routines, like different boards, use your calendar, for example, something.
Sleep anywhere.
Sleep anywhere.
Every time you could.
Yes. Exactly, exactly. So basically, I can share those tips, and last but not least, block off a time for your family. I think that's really, really vital. Any case, there will be work every day. It will be hot almost every day, especially on the positions that we are. Co-founders, key position, HR director. I can't imagine what is it. I mean, so I think you should block off your time with your family. That's important.
Yeah. May I just elaborate on what Kira said? So basically, you said you need to start like managing your energy. Yeah. And actually, parenthood can be a great eye-opening event for realizing how to prevent burnout. Because so with let's say with the company, with the project, with whatever, basically, you're always striving to do the best, like to finish your goal and like do your best, and that might actually bring you to a burnout. But you know that after this project, for example, like you will kind of like lie to yourself, after that I'm going to take a break, after that I'm going to whatever, like I'm going to have some rest. With a baby, with a child, you know that this is never-ending game, never-ending game. So you know that you just became a parent and you're going to be parent forever. So that means that you have to start thinking about how do I manage my energy in such a way that I say stop whenever I feel that that's overwhelming. And that's actually very hard, especially in the first months. In the first months, it's really exhausting, but only then you realize that you have to say stop and actually give yourself a break. One advice that I've heard, and I want to give that advice to everyone, not just moms, but also dads, but that was the best advice I've ever heard, was make sure that you feel okay, because if the mom and if the dads are okay, then their children are going to be okay as well. If you're not okay, they're not going to be okay as well. And that's the same with work, with projects, deadlines, whatever. If you're not okay, you're not going to be productive. If you're not okay, you're not going to be like figure it out. So that's important. Manage your energy whenever.
I remember something Gala said during our podcast, that at some point you realize that you are important enough to take time for yourself and to make to make a time for you in your calendar?
Yeah, true. But I think my main realization was earlier, and it was that nothing is going to go by the plan. So I'm going to have a plan, just like in business, it's not going to happen. So basically preparing for things that are going to be just popping up from here and there is crucial. And I think every young parent should think of building a network with people that they can rely on, starting with, so for instance, because our first kid was born in London, so we didn't have proper healthcare, although we had health insurance, obviously. So we had a subscription from Bulgarian doctor who was on call, basically, for anything that might come, because I didn't know what to do, obviously. And then we kept that subscription ever since for the last 5 years and something. And then you need babysitters, and then you need friends to rely on, and then you need second, third, fourth, fifth layer of support, because things will go south, and you probably are going to suffer and struggle if you're not ready to take this whole village together with you.
Do you think it's important to have some kind of personal boundaries where you won't let work interfere? Like, I don't know, no calls after 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. Or, I don't know, for startup founders, I know it's nearly impossible, but...
Well, I can say for myself, it's hard to have like a strict agenda, but like Kiri said it actually, you need to kind of like work on your calendar and make sure, like basically work on your agenda. And for example, maybe I'll leave the office a little bit earlier because I need to take like my daughter, or I need to make sure that my baby is in bed on time so that he can sleep throughout the night as well. But then I'll know that, and then let's say block an hour or two to play with my daughter because that's our time together. But then afterwards, I will, let's say, spend an hour or two to work a little bit more on the tasks that I didn't finish throughout the day. I'll also block some time for example, things like reading. Maybe it's 15 minutes. Sometimes people actually forget that like you shouldn't block
That's
like
amazing.
huge amount of well, 15 minutes a day, but you progress.
It's
like
night usually.
Yes, it's night, but like 15 minutes a day, you just get ideas, right? And you progress. And eventually, with like kids getting bigger, it gets better and better. So yes, make sure you block some time for different things. Like for the essential things with your kids, make sure that you spend time. I personally, like Gala said, that you have like 3 things, main things that you want to make sure that are there for your kids. To me, it's actually one thing. Just make sure that I spend time with them. The rest, and I don't know, that's how I feel. The rest can be, yes, we'll figure it out. But make sure that I'm there for them, to speak with them, yes. And it's not. One last thing actually here. Don't think that things are perfect. That's something that we don't understand. Things are not black or white. There is no perfect thing. Today, you might spend a little bit more time on work. Something urgent happened, something happened. Or maybe you just feel like you're more productive today, more creative. Tomorrow, you feel like, oh, I really, like, my mojo is not here, so maybe I can spend more time with my kids. Right? So just don't think that things are perfect. Even if you have the agenda, don't stress yourself because you're not following your agenda, but make sure you balance that. The balance is about not having strict things, but balancing that all the time.
Exactly. I think, that's why it's called a work-life balance, right? That doesn't mean that it's 50% of your day is work and 50% of the day is life. Sometimes it's going to be more work. Sometimes it's going to be more life. Just important for you that you find that balance for yourself in the end of the day. With reading 15 minutes a day or even more, just take care of yourself.
How do you manage yourselves in stressful situations where you have to be like both with your kids, but you also have to work because, I don't know, some emergency popped up? And have you ever found yourself in a situation where you yell at them because it's too stressful for you?
Never happens. Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, I know. But
I actually never had this situation, really, because so I'm always on calls, and that's why when my daughter is playing with her dolls, for example, oh, grandma, don't interfere with me, I'm on a call. You know, she's always on a call like her mom. So it happens, especially during COVID when we were all at home. Yes, it was crazy. It happens that, for example, I'm alone with her, and so she wants to play with me, wants a snack or whatever. And at the beginning, I was stressing. I was like stressed about it. And then I realized that the other person on the other side is in the same situation. They might also have a child or a nephew or someone or something like dog, for example. And it's absolutely normal. And so what I did, I started inviting her. Hey, oh, here's my daughter, by the way. And just give me a second, I'll give her a snack and I'm back, like coming back to you. And meanwhile, telling her like, just give me like 5-10 minutes more or something, or maybe like turn on the TV just for 10 more minutes so that I can finish my call, for example. But we need to realize that on the other side, whatever you're doing, especially working with people, they're parents, or to become parents, right? So
we should normalize our kids being in the picture. Even
yes,
when we are
absolutely,
working.
absolutely. That makes you even more powerful, and actually people like you even better. I mean, you can close deals exactly because of that, for example. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and I can add here that the COVID pandemic opens our home doors, and through Zoom, whatever you you name it, and this you can show your children. You have an excuse that any other thing are happening there, and I think it's a matter of calibration, how you calibrate the situation, how you plan, and how accurate are in this.
Do you think COVID made people and companies also more aware to these problems in general?
Absolutely. I think my colleagues will support me in this, but I think during the COVID pandemic, family working parents, their motivation sometimes were on the lowest level.
Mm-hmm.
And
They were suicidal, you mean?
I mean, like I already said about this spiral of daily routines, and you're losing sometimes yourself. Especially, we have many cases, fathers who doubt themselves, like, okay, my family needs me, but my colleague also needs me. What I'm delivering now, is it quite good or no? Where am I? Where am I now? And do I calibrate correctly with the reality between my family, what happened at home, all this crazy stuff, and my company, or
when you say stuff, you mean wife, I guess.
And I can say the pandemic time was not a family issue. All this momentum chaos that happened, but it was a business issue. Mm-hmm. And I think those companies who managed to reflect on this and to establish a sustainable working environment, to understand more the other side, were those who now are employer of choice. So I've heard many things in your company that you mentioned, and both of your companies. So I think during the hard times, all the actions that company applies are valuable. Mm-hmm. Not when we are on the top and everyone succeed in doing something.
Yeah. That's what differentiates you. I think, I can add that during COVID, our family support channel, those were the best memes. I think that was the way that we were all venting. I think really at least from my perspective, I think a lot of you, especially as I heard, are working a lot from home, just the way that your businesses are set up. I would say that at SiteGround we have we've always been remote friendly. So even before the pandemic, as an IT business, but our offices are just amazing. So that's one of the things that's bringing people to the office. And the other thing is that we're really very collaborative, and that happens better in person. So what I was meaning to say about working from home, I think that was COVID really ruined a lot of the balance, just because when you were you were not just working from home, you were all the time at home. And really it was from my experience, my days were endless. I think that was the time when I've lost most sleep and weight. Fortunately, I brought that back. But yeah, I think that was the thing of the employers, when we really started to understand, okay, how do we help employees put that boundary, and how do we help them, really, re-energize themselves after so much work and pressure.
It's interesting for me to hear what are your observations on do parents want to work from home, because what I've seen from friends, and I'm not going to say teammates because obviously they know who they are, but people with kids actually want to be at the office, is my view.
Especially those with 3 kids. I think it really depends.
The mom-in-law.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, I think it really depends. So one of the things is that you really have a different type of baby, a different type of child. So if you have like the most crying baby, which I'm sure we can compete on that, but you really need to be there, and you need to support him, and that's also your understanding. I see it both. I have a couple of people in my team that they do a mix. So a couple of days they come into the office, a couple of days they work from home. It really depends on the need of the child, especially if it's a child that needs special support.
May I add something on the work-life balance?
Sure.
Like, while I was listening to you, I remember something that I actually read, and I'm trying to apply in the company. It's not easy, but we're speaking about prioritization, time blocking, time and agenda. If we work together as a team, like we are a company, a team, right? So if we're a good team, we should be able to prioritize not only our time with the kids and like what are the essential things for myself as a person and me as a mom, for example, but also what are really these key priorities for the company. And if you know which are these key priorities for the company, then you can easily prioritize also there, okay, well, I can't do these 3 things. Which one should I prioritize now so that I can also keep my other priorities on track? And so it's not about only like speaking about it and trying to bring network and communities, but also having these OKRs, KPIs, whatever you call it, but like these priorities that you know that if there is one thing I will do today or this week, that should be this thing. And then if I'm to achieve that, I feel efficient, I feel productive. And same with the kids. If there is one thing that I don't want to mess up, then that's this thing. So I wonder, like maybe like you, Gary, like what have you done something in that direction to have a little bit more clear goals for each one of the team members or the teams separately?
Yeah, so we're not so centralized in that. We give managers a lot of their freedom. So whatever I say now, it's my team. It's not SiteGround. That's kind of the way that we work. We are very empowering in that sense. Yeah, I mean, we haven't. So in my team, we haven't formalized. First of all, in my team there are so many parents. We're kind of like one third of the whole population. I wouldn't say that we really formalized it that much, but I think if you have a bigger population, bigger percentage, I think what you're saying would really help for parents to really set their goals right.
I've heard actually from friends who are managers that they like to work with mothers because they have learned themselves to be much more efficient in whatever they do, better with time management and everything. And so I'm curious for each one of you to share maybe one thing that parenting taught you about being a better business leader? Victor?
Yeah, patience. So
Okay.
I am one of my personality traits is that I'm usually in a rush, and I really want things to happen very quickly, and really want to see the results of once we commit to something that it's kind of happening. With children, it doesn't work that way, and you really need to be patient, and that pays off so well. It's such a, you know, when I feel myself that I've been patient and I kind of see the result with the child, it's amazing. So that's what really taught me, that it's a process. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and that's what parenting helped me with.
Gala?
I would have said that as well, but
Sorry.
I want to be original, so I'm going to say authenticity. I actually am quite, I'm fine to confess I've done a mistake and I need to apologize, and I do that in life with kids and at work as well. And also choose your battles. You can't win them all, it's super tiring, so choose what you're going to fight for.
Okay. Maya?
So yeah, well, I love this juicy balance. I was going to say Eat the Frog. That's actually one book that I really, really like. Eat the Frog. Like, what's this one thing that really will make your day in whatever direction? Actually, I learned a lot from becoming a parent. But maybe something that's different to what Victor and Gala said. Listen beyond, like, just listen. And yes, try to understand what's beyond what like the kid or the person on the other side is saying. I mean, yes, we've just
Chocolate. Always the same.
well, chocolate maybe means, you know, energy or whatever, you know, but yes, listen. And that helps me not just with the kids, it helps me with the team members, with customers, everything. Just listen and give yourself to listen. Give yourself time to listen.
Good one.
I like what they said. What they said.
You have the hardest job now.
Plus the following that I'm supposed to say. I have approached my parenting, even though it's since 2 months, with great passion, commitment, and high level of energy, like I approach my job, my everyday job. But I find out that it's not enough. And I would say adapting to change, because this small precious now is changing every week. And you should be ready for that. And now I think I am, or I hope. And I think the lesson learned so far is how quickly you can adapt to change. And to put this in immediate action.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I add one more?
Sure.
Don't listen to naysayers, because in business, in startups, a lot of people will tell you what's not going to work. And with kids, I was getting so many advices from everybody, like everybody knew better. And it hurts your ego, but then you start not to listen, and it works well.
I was actually going to ask you exactly that. As parents, where do you find resources for you to become better parents, to build your own community or support network, as Victor very well put it? What can you advise other parents to do? Maya?
Maybe I'm the worst example here, because I'm trying not to read, not to like, I mean, yes, so once in a while, like definitely. So here's my philosophy. I think that your kids are the perfect kids for this family, for these parents. And so what I'm trying to do is just like balance with my loved one, basically, with my better half. In many cases, he's the better half. How can we really bring the best out of us and like teach our kids to become just good people, like good people. That's what we want. That's what we want from them, to be healthy. And so I try not to listen to other people, because other people or stories, they will tell you the story is based on their experience with their kids, but they're different kids. They're like different reality, for example. And so if I'm trying to like push myself to actually make my reality like theirs, that will be wrong for my kids. So what I'm actually doing is trying to follow my gut and my gut feeling, and really listen to my kids, whatever they actually like. Yes, trying to lead by example, like trying to, if I want them to be healthy, try to like to show them the like habits, how they can be healthy. If I want them to be creative, just do creative stuff together, right? But really trying to avoid reading and listening to others.
I like that you mentioned your partner, and I want to ask Gala, how do you balance this thing, like in a couple who are also, you know, both professionals? How do you balance this between yourselves? Who's taking care of the kids? Who's working when? You know, this
Whoever
complicated.
So my husband used to work in London for the last 20 years. So he just came. I just managed to bring him back to Bulgaria 2 months
Good
ago.
job.
So we are a young family now. But joke aside, he's my biggest strength, obviously, and we are basically balancing the kids together. And we were having this, for instance, last Sunday I was having a team building with my team, and then I just arrived, he was having a meeting somewhere in the city, so we just I picked up the car with the kids from the parking, and he was going in a meeting, and that's how it goes. I mean, as they try to fire us from time to time, and they say they want another family, but I'm trying to keep the expectations low so they don't know what's happening in other families actually. Then it works.
That's nice. Okay, I think we have a question from the people watching us online, so I'm gonna read it. So it's for all of you. Do you agree that the pandemic has changed the equation? It's not work-life balance anymore, but life-work, and how your companies adapt to this? I think we've touched upon it a little bit, but Georgi Bebov is asking, are there any new perks or policies that you've put together after COVID, because you've seen, you know, the whole situation changing?
Yeah, so I think you really need to listen to what the kids and their parents need and want. Maybe just don't ask teenagers, because they're going to ask you for something illegal, and you don't want to do that. I think one of the COVID perks that we had, that was in 2020, is that we did a virtual 1st of June for the kids, and that was really cool, because it was back then there was like nothing going on, there were no events, everybody was in, and they really enjoyed it. I think we still have some pieces of toilet paper from that day, from my older son around the house. They built a volcano. Yeah, but so one of the things that we started doing is what I mentioned in the beginning, is that we started supporting the Arte Festival. Why is it a pandemic thing? Is because SiteGround used to do its own festival. That was our team building. It was actually called the Team Fest. It's funny because we just had invited SARS to play, and in 2020 COVID SARS-2 came and and kind of killed that tradition. So, but the cool part about the Arte Festival is because it's a public event. You can bring your kids as well, of course, and that has worked really well with really building a community of kids and partners of our employees within the company.
Kiru, have you noticed the companies you're working with develop some kind of new policies after COVID to support families?
We've been working and continue working with small and big companies. There is always a pros and cons in both. What I see now is the small companies are still more flexible in terms of everything. I mean, bringing a child at the office, even they can probably afford something which is more expensive rather than a big company, because the big company should follow strict rules and policies in terms of financial part. I just attend last week one of the biggest HR events in Vegas, which is crazy. Don't ask me, please. Don't ask me nothing about them, about that. But I just heard about the trends, because most of the company which are there, they are trendsetters, and the biggest companies always talking about this human-centric element in their retention plans, and I've heard really interesting things, supporting even child adoption, all the costs, the parties, and everything related with the children was the smallest thing that they refer. Transport, some companies cover their education after COVID, during the COVID times, especially for those who are after or around the teenage period. So it was really interesting to hear interesting incentives, but nobody of these big companies talking about the flexibility. I mean, it was all related with perks, incentives, payments, trainings, and so on, but nobody talks about the flexibility. What I can say is what we've done as a company is to bring some initiatives with the children. We join them in our CSR campaigns, because it's a lead by example. It's really valuable to involve your children in the CSR, everything related with CSR of the company. And also we managed to change the vibe at the office, because we bring back movie nights and all this stuff with children, so we have those positive buzz now.
What do you think about kindergartens at work, corporate kindergartens?
So we don't have a kindergarten. We do this week once every summer, where you know, because I think that I know it's a discussion right now with the Bulgarian government, but summer vacation in Bulgaria is a little bit longer than everywhere else. So kind of like towards the end of August, you're already, like, kindergartens are closed, and you're sick of all the tennis camps and swimming pool camps and scout camps. So we do at least 1 week where employees bring kids into the office, and that's been pretty good. I know that there are some employers like I think A1, so MTEL does that. Because their office is like almost outside of Sofia, and they do that for their kids, and that works out pretty well. I think it's important to understand, like, the structure of your, because if you have so very few kids that are in kindergarten age, it's a very big effort. If you want to do it, like, especially nowadays, because there's in Bulgaria there's so many private kindergartens. So you know, to do it well, you need to really put your thoughts and plan it very well, because you just don't want one room where, you know, I don't know if you've seen a New York kindergarten, but that's a very expensive hell, basically. It's small, it's they don't have a yard, etc. So you really need to plan it well, but I think it can be good, especially depending on where your office is.
What about childcare, maybe, if not a kindergarten at work? What do you ladies think?
You mean like having a babysitter?
Yeah.
Like I am actually open to all of the options. If you ask me, I would build a kindergarten. I think it's a great idea. I mean, if you have the resources, I'll totally go for it. I agree with Victor that in the end of the day, you should be careful, because it's not about having a kindergarten, but a kindergarten that grows your children. It's not only, oh, the children are safe, right? Like, there are more things to that, but I actually am open to all of these things. Childcare, coming with the mom. I mean, maybe we're just more flexible. And even before COVID, we were okay if you're attending a meeting with your child, for example. In our company, for example, we don't have people with with teenagers, for example. It's all like babies and small kids. So maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's easier. I don't have a teenager, so I don't know. But yes, we did that. Now after COVID, we were just doing it more regularly. Especially me, so my baby is 10 months old. And so at the very beginning, almost every weekly meeting that I was attending, I was obviously online, I was with the baby. That was the easiest. He will not cry, he will feel just perfect, and yes, the colleagues can see me, I can, you know, like be a part of the meeting. So yeah, I'm open to all of these flexibilities. Just again, you have to be careful, and again, not forget your priorities. And sometimes when you have to be in a meeting, and for example, you need to be there, and you can't just, for example, it's something that you need all your, let's say, attention there. Maybe then it's not a good idea. So balancing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Gala, do you want to add something here?
The things I can organize on my own or my colleagues, like kindergarten and babysitting, I think I would need a reference there, but not really the company to organize it for me. This is my view, but the things which are more exclusive, which are difficult to even create as events, like for instance, we went to the firefighters place, how is it called? Požarna?
Fire brigade?
Yep, whatever. So the kids could, drive the big trucks and wear the helmets and actually see what this job is all about. That was super cool, and I don't know anybody there, so I can't really organize that, but it was amazing when somebody from the office took the initiative. So things like that, they make me feel a fulfilled parent, and they create memories for my kids which actually make their eyes shine, and I love that. The rest which money can buy, and I just need to be paid well, or pay my team well, so they can actually afford kindergarten and babysitting, but not really, I don't think it's the corporate job to do that.
Okay. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to ask a question now? Because we are entering this part where we open the questions to the public as well. You're all very shy. Okay, so there's one more question from Facebook. What are the usual mistakes that companies make when building a parent's employee benefits package? Maybe Victor.
The usual mistakes. Wow, okay. Yeah, I think it's the problem would be that I can think of is when you think about so like if I'm the head of HR, which I am, and if I have two kids that are 5 and 7 and 9, which I have, and I kind of build the benefit package around that, thinking that all kids are like that. So and you do this massive investment. So the first problem with that is, even with my kids, they will grow, and 2 years later their toys, they don't look at them, and they're growing. So I think even though it's difficult to make a one-size-fits-all approach, it's trying to think of something that is really going to be there for a long time, and that really understands the needs of the parents and the employees. Because we really have to think about, there's like parents who are single parents, there are parents with kids that have special needs. We need to be inclusive. That's also part of the village, and that's what you need to think about. So I would say maybe the worst mistake that you can do is not to engage your employees into that process, so that you can get that information when you build the package.
Maybe just to add to that, what you said, to actually be able to adapt and change, because you may be you're maybe discussing that with your existing employees, but there will be more to come, and they might have different stories and different needs. So just be like comfortable to adapt whatever you are planning to do, and like grow it with your team.
Have you been to playgrounds where kids play and you're all the time scared that they're gonna just die because there is a big hole in the slide up there, and it's for 3 years old? So basically, people who construct those, I believe they don't have kids. So it's great to collect the data, as Vic was saying, and know who you are doing it for, I think.
That's what I was supposed to say. I think the biggest mistakes, in my opinion, are two: to trust your perks and incentives and all this benefit program to someone who is not proficient in this in your company. And second, we slightly refer on this about the quality. I mean, the benefit is not only to announce it, to check the tick boxes that you have it in the company in order to attract talent and to fake it until you make it. But it should be with high quality, with a standard, and there should be someone who will support this and be like an ambassador who can refer with his expertise that this perk or this benefit is safe, it's working, and it's aligned with company culture and mission. So I think in general that's the biggest mistake you can see. And same about the kindergartens. What if a company has a kindergarten and at the same time it doesn't work? I mean, the children there do not excel, they do not improve anyhow. But in general, it's a good perk, kindergarten, because I had no time to join the previous.
Especially in Sofia.
Yeah, especially in Sofia, and you can see some companies that manage to close the cycle with the kindergarten, with the canteen, with the car allowance, with everything, and at the end of the day, for what you spend money yourself.
Can someone give grants, like grandmas, as a perk? That would be so cool.
Yeah, it's a business model we can discuss.
A business model was born. Okay, if there are not any questions from our public, or okay, sorry.
I got one. It's already online. I have the microphone. I just send it over there. So.
Oh, you send it online. Okay.
Okay.
So having the work from home nowadays situation, so we are actually bringing the professional life we have in our house. So with so many working hours spent home, how do you manage not to transfer work crisis, pressure, emotions to children and life partners when they are right next to you? That's a very good question.
And what would be your suggestion to your employees, colleagues?
With a solid nerve system, and you should take your magnesium frequently.
Ashwagandha. Yes. Well, actually, I had these periods, especially during COVID, when we went through a very crazy time, during this COVID crisis. And I had times when I was crying in front of my daughter, when we were fighting with my partner, for example, because of work. Funny, that's usually what we fight for. And what I do is I just go and let her know that why I'm actually crying and why I'm so stressed about it. I'm trying to explain it to a kid, obviously, but trying to explain that this is something very important for me, the way her dough is important for her, for example, and something's wrong with what I'm actually doing, and that's why I feel stressed about it, but it's not because of her or something that she did, and it will just go away. And actually, I'm using these cases to, again, lead by example, saying that in life you have these crises, and that's okay. That's absolutely fine. It can't be just perfect, right? This movie, the Lego movie, everything is awesome. Everything's awesome. It's actually life, and that's real life.
Gale, what do you do?
I was raised with fairy tales about princesses and what's the male? Princess.
Prince, yes.
With horses and whatever. And now when you ask my daughter if she wants to be a princess, she says it's super boring. And the way she knows it is because she's seen that just staying home and doing nothing happens to you. It's just ridiculous. So she does see me have my ups and downs. And when she sees that, I just try to get some support from her, and she actually starts to get it, and she gets emotionally intelligent, much more emotionally intelligent and grown up than I was at her age, which I think is super valuable. Plus, she gets this appetite for life and for challenges, which are not always going to be successful, and she's not always going to be an achiever, but I hope she's going to be a fighter.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think, just like we get stressed and anxious, so do our kids get stressed and anxious about in their world, be it an exam or a sports competition or a fight with a friend. you know, when you were asking before that whether we yell in front of kids, etc., and I kind of giggled like I've never done that. Well, if it is part of who you are, and I think we should, you know, make it. If we're comfortable expressing ourselves, we're going to make our kids also more comfortable expressing themselves, which is super important. And we shouldn't hide those emotions unless, you know, not talking about the introverts who are kind of that way. So what I personally do, because I'm more of an extrovert, I talk it out, and I try to talk with my kids. My younger one is an extrovert like me. I call him like a little bit of an Alla Pugacheva. He like kind of gets everything out. My older one, he's an introvert, and that's really the patience game for me as well, to get that out of him. And I'm trying to teach him how important it is for him not to keep that anxiety when he has it and that discomfort inside himself, but to try and find a way to channel it out.
There's another uncomfortable feeling that we didn't really talk about, guilt. So how do you manage feeling guilty, especially moms maybe, of not being there when you're supposed to be?
Well, I'm an extreme extrovert, I guess, and I always have to like let it out. So I'll just go and like tell her, you know, I feel really guilty, and I wish I could do different, but I can't like change it. But I'll try to make it up like next time, and I'll really try to make it up next time. So I'll stand behind my words. And actually, again, back to how this taught me about business, same with your team. Like sometimes you feel guilty because you've done something, you push someone more, or you just, I don't know, you are not like in your best shape, and just go to them and just say, well, I feel guilty. This is what happened. What can we learn from it? And yes, let's prevent that.
Okay, Della?
I give them extra chocolate. No, I live with it.
Yeah, that's smart. Maybe the dads want to add something here.
I can say about the stress levels, because I have experienced them before the child as well. So my solution is to find your charging device. For me, it's the nature, and I think expressing yourself, not to hold any problems or stress levels with you. That's why you have a partner, you have acquaintances, close friends, and so on. So you should be more active in sharing even the negative things.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I learned recently, I accepted a job on a board of a public of the Bulgarian Post, which is it's another great story. Long story, yeah. So but that's the thing about it, is that you realize that whatever you do, it's not enough. You could always say like I can do more, and it's the same with kids. And with raising kids, is that you need to accept the fact and ask you and understand that what you did is the best that you could have done in that situation. And then really acceptance is the key, because it's just an hour has 24 days. There's sleep, there's sports, there's school, there's friends, there's Montessori, and I don't know what. You cannot fit it into one day. You probably can't fit it into one life. So just accept that and don't feel guilty. You know, that's if you did what was the better that situation, then why should you?
Okay. It's Pride Month. To what extent are the benefits in your companies available for same-sex couples who are parenting?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So one of the things that when you were talking about adoption is that I think even though in Bulgaria we're great about benefits about parenting, we're terrible at adoption. Like there's our social security system. Like I think you get 2 weeks off if you adopt a baby, whereas you know very well that you can get up to 3 years if it's your own child. So kind of to bring that in parallel with practices, the fact that we still don't recognize the same-sex relationship as a civil union even. Yeah, so what we do at SiteGround is that since there is no official system that you can support it, is that we talk it out and find a solution for the employee. That can happen. Unfortunately, when the country doesn't provide that system, we've had, like, for example, one employee that had to move to Germany because they really wanted to have a civil union, which they can't here. We don't have employees in Germany, so we couldn't support them further, but we did all the way and beyond to do that. And whoever comes in with such a request, I know that we'll do the same, and we'll have that understanding.
Do you think people are open enough already to share with the employer such I don't know, sensitive matter maybe for them? Kiru, if you want to, I don't know.
It depends on the employer, if you ask me. It depends on who is on the other side. If you're welcoming this person to come to you and like tell you yes, I personally think that's. I mean, it's a good question, but I mean, even I don't care what the government like says and what they would say. That's the status quo. I mean, if you're the employer, obviously you have to balance with a lot of like things, but. If you think that's fair, then you will make sure that you provide same support like all the rest of the parents. I mean, these are parents in the end of the day. That's it, parents. So parents need time.
I would say that our market is mature enough to have a policy also for this, and to treat it the same way like rest of every individual in the company, employed in the company. So I mean, I think it's obvious.
Something that I'm like a little bit, I don't know, pissed about. In the end of the day, like you want to make sure that this person on the other side works with you and is productive as much as possible and achieves goals with you as a team member. And even if you push him or her, that won't happen, right? So you either find a way to do it as a union or you won't. And either this person will, I don't know, burn out or move away, like go to another company, or it's not going to happen. So you just find a way to work it out and find something that works for everyone.
Okay. To end maybe this discussion on a positive note, can you each of you share like a parenting win that you had with your kids? During the last week, or maybe I don't know what pops up into your mind. So some situation where you felt you did right.
I can't.
Come on. Well, I think one of my my younger son, the Ava Pugacheva type. So we were at the birthday party, and he came with this super sweet girl, also named Victoria, and he came and took her specifically to the hand to introduce her to me, and it made me feel old, but it also made me feel like, okay, that's cool, because he was like, hey, you know, you guys. Victoria should hang out, and you know, like, she's cool, you're cool, and I really felt that even though I'm not a fan of the idea that parents should be friends, and I don't feel that that we have a nice relationship, but I think that my kids should see me as a parent, not as a friend. But I felt that he cherished me as an individual, and that was pretty awesome.
I like that. Maya?
I'm thinking, so maybe a couple of things, and they're all related to like recent, not recent, but let's say with my baby now. The first win, so actually I had a pretty short maternity leave, almost none, let's say, and I'm super proud that even though I had no maternity leave, I managed to breastfeed him for like until the 10th month, almost like until the 10th month when I had a trip, and then we decided it's enough. So I'm very proud because I really, really did my best like to do that and keep working. And then the other thing I'm very proud of, with my daughter, we really struggled a lot with her sleep regime, almost none. It was, yes, very bad. And for the first time, I started reading, how do you teach your kid to actually sleep throughout the night? With my second child, basically, I knew that I'm not going to have time to actually, like in maternity leave. So I knew that if there is one priority, then this one priority would be to teach him to sleep throughout the night. You know what I mean? And so I managed to do that. I really managed. And I was very, it took me a lot of patience. It took me a lot of mistakes, but I kept moving. And I kind of like proved to myself that I am a fighter, no matter whether I speak about a startup, a project, a life, whatever. That's something that I'm very proud of.
In your 2 months, your proudest moment?
Yeah, survived.
That's a good one.
I could say I succeed in my small win, succeed in make her sleep during the night because my wife didn't have this chance last 2 weeks. I don't know why. And also, I'm sleeping. So
that's a major win. That's not even a small win.
Yeah.
Gale, do you want to add something?
I have something on the sleeping part because my kids used to come to our bed every night at some point. So, she speaks English. So what we did in December to change that routine, which was killing us, because they don't just sleep; they run in bed. So what we did is we received a call from Santa, and Santa asked them whether they are already grown-ups, and they said yes. And Santa said, okay, if you're grown-ups, you need to sleep in your bed, otherwise I'm gonna pick up all your toys.
Oh, wow.
And they started sleeping in their bed since that day. So I'm very proud with them and with Santa. Thanks, thanks Santa.
Do you have his number? Maybe I can call him?
Yeah, with a picture and a number, so he can call you. Yep, true story.
Thank you very much, guys, for this honest discussion. It was lovely. I suggest we talk about the failures over beer because it's easier.
We have more time.
Yeah. And thank you very much for everyone watching online, for everyone joining us here in person, and also thank you to Launchy for making this happen, and to our partners BICA and SiteGround for joining us and supporting us to make this event happen. Thank you.
Thank
you.
It was a pleasure.